Welcome back, YouTube. So in this video, we're going to do a price update. We're going to talk about some of the liquidations we're facing, some important levels going forward, and also take a look behind the scenes here and get some data as far as for um, buys, sells, liquidity coming in and out of the coin. So kind of just get like a feel overall for where Dogecoin and the crypto market is as we stand right now. So if you follow me on X or pay attention to the community section, I made a post last night saying that we would need to hold 27 cents, right? And otherwise, we could see a drop down to around 21. Now, the good news is this daily candle is still active, but we didn't hold 27, but we're not closing below 27, which is absolutely phenomenal, at least for now, right? We're at around 30 cents on this daily. Again, the candle's still open. We had a dip down to around 26 cents, but there was a lot of buying pressure came in. So now we have a very strong rejection here forming for this candle. Again, it hasn't closed yet. We'll review it after the closure, but right now that's a very strong rejection here to the upside here. The candle's still red because we're down on the day, but this is a lot of buying pressure that came in to get us back above that 30 cents mark. So don't ignore that. And the reason that we're seeing this, and this is one of the things I've talked about for those of you who've been following the channel, and we've been talking about building up like the floors and how important it is, and about building stairs and not having these huge gap ups. This is, especially if this is your first rodeo in crypto, this is the exact reason why I'm not a fan of these huge candles and gaps up. They're fun to ride to the upside, but they fill to the downside as well. And what's happening right now is simply that there is no support. There is no a agreement between buyers and sellers of what a fair price is for Dogecoin in this range, right? Because it blew through these levels, and now buyers are they haven't established that this is a fair price. They didn't buy necessarily here. The buys that came in for these prices are scattered amongst these levels here. So everyone's like DCA is different. Everyone's a little bit more cautious here because there's a lot of buying pressure at any particular number. So now the market has to determine where that's going to be and where the brakes are going to be pumped. That's why you're seeing candles like this one here, where the wick is very long because people decided, hey, this was a great opportunity in this, and they were able to buy in, because right now we're simply just filling these green candles here on the other side. And so this is why it's very important, because I was saying that we can see levels dip down back here. If we fill this line, if we get this closure here, again, below that 27 cents mark, then it's possible to fill this one as well. And this isn't a Dogecoin specific thing. This is talking about, we can go look at some of the other coins here. Particularly, we're not going to necessarily move unless we have, obviously, the market leader do so. Again, this is the example that I was using about this putting up the stair steps. This is a really big, important role for crypto alike, which is to gauge the action of Bitcoin, right? So we're going to take a look here at the price action for Bitcoin. And we are, let's take a look. So again, we got a strong rejection here, but this is not the first time here. You can see we had something similar back on December 5th, but we're getting a rejection here to the downside and getting that liquidity coming in. The rejection coming off around the 92,000 mark, and we're getting that push back up. Now, the good news is and why we could potentially see the brakes pumped here. We can kind of we'll see, but we can make a case to state that we can see that we need a further breakdown or a stronger sell-off to go lower. And that's because of this level here, right? We are getting some rejections off of this range, but this is around the 90,000 mark for Bitcoin. And we've had some slight rejections in this range, 90 to 92. We have about 3 here that I'm seeing on the daily. I'm sure it's more if we use a smaller time frame. So we kind of use this as a catalyst to say, okay, when we get around here, we can, at least the last 3 times or so, we were able to get a bounce and do a recovery. So this can hold up. I mean, again, floors hold up until they don't, but this is something to keep in mind here, that this is an agreement between buyers and sellers. Remember what I was saying about Dogecoin. we had those huge gap ups, and because there were no agreement between buyers and sellers. So the reason why we're getting the brakes kind of pumped in the market is because we do have that agreement for Bitcoin, which is in this range, the 90 to 92. Now, the panic would come in when we would see an extreme sell-off, because Bitcoin's gaps start in this range, right? The 70 to, like mid 80s, upper 80,000 range. That's when we can start to see some of that that escalated price action to the downside. Now, we're a ways off from that. That's not a topic of discussion right now. Again, we even have a light floor at the higher 80 mark. So it's not something to come up there, but I wanted to point that out to kind of show you the difference between the stages of where Dogecoin is and where Bitcoin is, so you can see the differences in how they play out. Now, obviously, with Bitcoin being the market maker, that's going to play a bigger role in liquidity and when it comes into the market. So that even though necessarily it looks like Doge is just catching itself in thin air, you're seeing the liquidity come back into the market as an indication of portfolio reallocations based off of the entries into Bitcoin. So that is the price action here. Let's take a look here before we go and look at the behind the scenes stuff. Let's just get an idea about the flow of crypto and the liquidity coming in here. So going over to coin market cap, we are, let's see, down about 0.62% for the day, still over 3.34 trillion. The market's definitely has cooled off. Greed is almost in the yellow, so around 62. So we definitely come off of the green mark. Doge is top 5, beating Solana, because Solana has, excuse me, not Doge. Doge is top 10 still. I'm sorry, looking at BNB. It's number 7 here and Solana is actually cooling off a lot faster than people would have imagined, because I know I've seen a lot of posts stating that Solana wasn't going to go back below 200, and Solana's like 400 or 500. So it's a lot of news here. I think outside of Doge, Solana's cooled off the most. Excuse me, in the top 7 for sure. Cardano has a 18, but so it's definitely one of the ones that's cooling off at a pretty progressive rate. Red across the board, and this is one of the things I like to point out as well, because a lot of times people like to have tunnel vision on their specific coin, and you have to really just kind of zoom out and get a broader picture of the market, because when you're looking at the overall market, they say, okay, is there a divergence in that's happening in the coins? No, there's a bloodbath everywhere. So this is not a Doge issue. This is something that's happening in the market. All of these overall, regardless of these percentages here, the 1 hour, the 24 hour, the 7 day, which most of them are red, except for most of the stable coins. The charts are red, regardless, varying percentages, I know, but the charts are red, right? So everyone's down for the most part. So don't hyper focus on your particular coin here. Doge is a cheaper coin, just like it's easier to get percentages to the upside that are going to be higher than, per se, like a Bitcoin or Ethereum. It's a lot easier to move the needle. It's the same going the opposite direction. It's a lot easier to move the needle for that same reason, because it's a cheaper coin. So please keep that in mind, and not necessarily just isolate what's happening with the coin here because you're invested into it. So let's take a look here at some of the deeper details here, because we've had a lot of liquidity here, some bigger numbers for sure coming into the market here. And this panic you'll see, because you'll say, oh, it's shorts. No, not necessarily. We're seeing some profit taking for sure by people who are not necessarily short Dogecoin, but they actually hold the coin, but they're taking profit, right? You can see evidence of this here in the last 24 hours. You have long liquidations of 35.4 million to short liquidations 16.3, right? So now you have long liquidations beating the shorts liquidations by 2 to 1, right? Again, this is not all inclusive, but it does include some exchanges like Binance, OKX, Bybit, some of the more popular ones that you may be familiar with. It does include some of the data from them, not all inclusive, but it gives you a general idea of where the liquidations are coming from in the market. So let's take a look here at long short ratios coming in. Now, coming in, obviously, you will see that the longs, especially based off of the candle that we just saw for the Doge chart, and being able to push back up from, I believe, 25 cents to around 30 cents. Obviously, people are taking new positions as well, right? So we're still leading that with long to short buy-ins at around 3-1, right? So 75.39 on the 5, 75.24. 30, same thing roughly on the hour, 4 hour, and 76.51 to 23.49 on the 1 day. So, right. So you do see a lot of swapping. So you see people taking profit, but reinvesting some of those gains back in there because they believe that there's an opportunity there to still get a return, aka they don't believe that the run is over. So you're seeing some profit taking on the liquidation side, but you're also seeing additional longs coming in on the buy-in side. Let's take a look here. Open interest down, of course, 12.88%, down to 1.7 billion. Let's see. The biggest thing that people were asking about the open interest and the going to like $1. I would like to see this at some of the higher rates, like at least 3.5 to 4 billion. That'll be one of the tells here. You'll be able to see it reflected in the price action on the chart, but those are one of the things that is going to give me I'll say like a comfort feeling, saying that, hey, we're in a position here to re-challenge those all-time highs and go up a lot more. Pretty much an equilibrium here would be around, looks like around 2.5 to 2.75 billion. So again, the market's cooling off, so this is to be expected that we'll see a decline overall in open interest. So nothing abnormal there, but it just kind of gives you an idea of the placement for Doge and how the overall market is responding to the coin. So what we're looking at here is certainly a cool off here. We're going to have to see where this if Bitcoin is going to be able to hold that 90 to 92. That's going to be very telling on the bigger things, especially on the macro levels of crypto at large, and certainly for Doge. Doge closing below the 27 cents mark will certainly be a raise a flag there, and that can be a strong indicator that we're going to go into the low 20 range. But right now we're getting a bounce. Right now there is strong resistance here for Bitcoin. Again, we have about 3 or 4 tests in that area, so we're getting that bounce there, and it's being reflected in the charts here for crypto. So not necessarily a green day, but it's giving the opportunity here of kind of like putting out a floor in here so that we can potentially build out one, maybe get some sideways action before there's additional bleeding, and hopefully push back to the upside. I think that another thing we have to kind of keep in mind is also that the witching that happened today in the market, we're going to see a lot of the options expiring, a lot of the futures, things like that expiring today. So you'll see a lot of swapping going on. So this is one of the reasons why those numbers are so high for long liquidations as well. Typically, today is the day for that. There's normally blood in the water. You have to kind of keep in mind when those witching days are and the effects that they have on the market. So typically, there's going to be a lot of turnover, right? So in addition to Powell's speech this week, which I'm going to create a separate video for that and kind of dive into it and give like a forecast for 2025, because I believe that's going to be really important going forward. But in a nutshell, I'll say this, at least now, he seemed a little bit like wishy-washy in his expectations for 2025, right? On one hand, he was saying things were great. On the other hand, he was saying that, he has some concerns here as far as for like job growth, and where then, they're potentially only going to do 2 cuts in 2025. And I believe the market had priced in like 4. So there's a lot of things going on right now that's sending shockwaves. So don't just isolate this to like one specific thing. There are several moving parts right now. So we'll see a cool off from the witching next week. we'll see hopefully get some more data going forward here, and we'll see about the January meeting, obviously within a few weeks, because you'll have things kind of slow down and close out for the holidays. So that will give us an opportunity here to kind of reevaluate any positions we want to take in 2025 and get a feel for the market. Overall, I do believe that 2025, at least the first quarter or so, first quarter or two, should be relatively decent. But if some of these things, as far as where rising inflation were to rear its head again, we could certainly have a change of pace. But again, I'll talk about that in a different video. But I just wanted to relay this information with crypto and give you guys like a foundation for what I'm seeing overall in the markets and the price action and the coins and some of the nitty gritty stuff. So that being said, I hope you found value in this video. Please consider subscribing to the channel if you have not. Like the video, share it with a friend. I appreciate all of you, and I will see you guys in the next one.